Okay, now this packet is what I taught you yesterday pretty much. Okay, we're going to be changing some numbers because some of them get answers that I don't like. All right, so remember, when you're solving equations, start going up here. What do you have about x? Well, you have x. That's the only x you have, but it's in a root, okay? So there's no power within the root, so it's just a one answer. Okay, then put a 2 in front and circle where the root stops and starts. So we all know that the opposite, you should know by now after watching that video, that the opposite of a square root would be a second power. Okay, now look in front. You got a number sitting right there. That means 3 times. You can't distribute either. That's not a parentheses. And don't use Q. That's for parentheses with powers. So as you use similar strategies, you get confused. Okay, so we have the 3 in front of there, so we need to put divide and then parentheses 3. And then I do not have any other number outside of the root. The plus 2 is in the root. Okay, so I don't have to do any plus or minusing. Now I'm actually going to solve the problem. First I divide by 3. And that cancels the 3. And then 6 divided by 3 is 2. So I have the square root. I'm going to keep putting a 2 there. X plus 2 equals 2. Okay, so that's done. And then second power. How you do a second power is you parenthesize both sides and you put a 2 there. Okay. The square root and the second power cancel out and you just have the expression x plus 2. And then 2 to the second power is 4. Okay. Well, that's an easy equation now. You just subtract 2. I mean, I didn't list the rest of it because I would hope you know by now what you do after that. X should be equal to 2. Okay, just one answer. And if you really examine the solution, it makes sense because if x is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, but the square root of 4 is 2. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. Okay? All right, I don't like that 2 there. Make it a 6. Okay, first thing, x. Well, it's not to a power, but it's in a root. Okay, no power within the root, so it's just one answer. Okay, now put a 2 there. Putting that 2 there helps you see. Okay. Okay, so it's a square root. I undo the square root with a second power. Okay, do you have a number in front? A big number in front. That doesn't count. That's just the root I put there. The root index is what it's called. Yeah, I don't have a number here, so I don't have to divide. But I do have another number here that has a plus. So the opposite of plus 2 is minus 2. Okay, and that's it. So I'm going to minus 2. Minus 2. This cancels. And I have the square root of 2x minus 3. And then 6 minus 2 is 4. So the minus 2 has been done. Now it's time to do the second power. Okay, the square root, second power cancel, and I have just the contents under the square root. And then 4 to the, you put 8. Stop doing that stupid stuff like that. 4 to the second's not 4 times 2, it's 4 times 4. Or 4 second exponent 2. Just don't take 4 times 2. Okay, then it's an easy equation. You add your 3 to both sides, and 2 times x equals 19, and then divide by 2, and that's 8, and that is 9.5. Now, 2 times 9.5 is 19, but then minus 3 is 16. Well, the square root of 16 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay, so that solution is correct. Okay, now, same things as in the last video. I set it up. I know it's stupid. You think it seems stupid I'm having you do this again, and that's fine. You can, haters make me greater. Okay, so you're solving for x. What's special about x? Doesn't have a power, but it's inside of a root. Okay. All right, so there's only one solution. Now, put a 2 in your root as your root index and circle it. And a square root can be undone with a second power. But before I do that, I got to look at operations outside. Do you have a number in front of the root? Yeah, 5. So that means 5 times. You undo a multiplication of 5 by dividing by 5. Okay, now you got anything else? That doesn't count. That's on the other side. I don't think you do. 5's the only outside operation. So you can go ahead and start. So you divide by 5. That gets rid of the 5. That takes this side of the equation to 3. 15 divided by 5 does. And then I have the square root of 3x. Done. Now second power both sides. You want to put a parentheses and take both sides to the power of 2. Now these cancel. The square root and the second power cancel, leaving me with the expression 3x. 3 to the second, you put 6, you fail. Okay, 3 to the second's 9. 3 times 3. Well, then it's easy. Just divide by 3 and you get 3. Makes sense because 3 times 3 is 9. The square root of 9 is 3. But if you multiply 3 by 5, you get 15. Okay, now this one's a very annoying problem. Got square, but it's not that hard if you just list your steps. So you got square root of x. X is in there. I know there's things in there with the x, but I'm just worried about the x, solving for it. Okay, we only got one answer since there's no power in there with the x. Like it doesn't say x to the second. If it did, I'd be looking for 2 answers. But you know what? It doesn't. Okay, so then I go put the 2 in the root and just circle the square root. And we're going to undo that with a second power. Now look in front. You have a number. Actually, you do. Whenever you have a minus in front of it, you write plus negative 1. The 7's not in front of it because there's that operation between the square root and the x. So if you have a minus, you got to put plus negative 1. Now, if that was just plus, I would have said I don't have to divide. Okay, but with that minus, you make it plus negative 1. So there's a negative 1 there, so we do have to divide by negative 1. Any other number out here? Well, yeah, the 7. It's positive, so we're going to have to minus the 7. Now, you work through your steps in this order, top to bottom. You list them from bottom up, but you work them from top to bottom. So you minus your 7. 7 minus 7. Then you have negative 1. Square root x minus 4, and that gives you negative 13. Oh, square root can't equal a negative. Well, I know it can't, but you need to divide by negative 1, okay? Well, now we're at positive 13, and it equals a positive. So for those of you that want to get overly analytical, if it's a cube root, you can be equal to negative, but a square root shouldn't end up equal to a negative number, okay? But if you undo the operations, it ain't going to be negative. Second power. Okay, these cancel. I get the expression x minus 4. And then 13, if you put 26, forget it. 13 times 13 is 169. Then you add 4, we're at 173. 173 minus 4 is 169. And the square root of 169 is 13. 13 times negative 1 is negative 13. Or 13 times negative is 1, negative 13. But then when you add 7, you're at negative 6. All right, next problem. You got x, it's in a root, and it's a cubed root, okay? But still, it has no power right here, so it's just one answer. Assume you're just looking for one solution. That's going to change eventually, but we probably won't do that till after break. Okay, so circle the root, and in the cube's part of the root, so you circle the 3. So you undo now it's a cubed root, so you're going to undo it with a third power, not a second power. Okay, in front of that, you got negative 2, so you're going to have to divide by negative 2. Now look for any other outer operations. Yeah, you got a 7, so minus 7. And you have to go through with the operations in that order. You minus 7, minus 7. Well, that takes you to 8 over here. And you have negative 2 times the cubed root of 2x plus 5. Don't lose sight that that's a cubed root. divide by -2. A lot of people add 2 in that situation. No. -2, that's why you write this down, so you don't do something stupid like that. Okay? Because -2 is a multiplier. You undo a multiplier by dividing, not by adding. Okay? The opposite of multiplication is not add last time I checked. So you have the cubed root of 2x plus 5 equals -4. Well, I thought a root couldn't equal a negative. Well, a square root can't, but a cubed root can. Okay. For example, don't write this next thing down. I'm going to write on a sticky note. Cube root of -8. What times what times what equals -8? Well, what times what's 8? It's 2. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. Now, if the 2's were all negative, that's 4, but then that's -8. So, yeah, this does have a real number, not an I. Okay, that's for square roots. Now, if that was a square root, I'd be putting the I. You don't have I's on this. Okay. All right, now it's time for a third power. Those cancel, and you have the expression 2 times x plus 5. Then we take -4 to the third power, and you get -64. Minus your 5. So 2 times x is 8, and that takes you to -69, then you divide by 2. Okay, I think it's 34.5. I'm not sure. Yep, -34.5. My bad. And yep, that's the solution. Okay, next problem. Solving for x. It's in a root, and the root's a cube root. A lot of people get confused. They think that means there's 3 answers. No, if there's 3 answers, the power would be here. Okay? You're not playing that how many answers game when it's in a root. Okay? If that's the only x you have, look at its power. Oh, there is none. There must be one answer. Okay, circle the root. This time the root's shorter. -2's outside the root. Okay? So you're going to use a third power. Now, what do I have to do before that? We'll look for a number in front that I might have to divide by. Yeah, there's a 3. So divide 3. Now, before I do that, look for another number. You got a -2. So you're going to have to do a +2. Okay, now work it forward. So +2. I don't want that to be -4. I just don't. Okay, switch the -4 to an 8, -8. I don't want screwy decimals when I'm trying to explain this. So I got 3 cubed root of x. -8 plus 2 is -6. So I have done that. Divide both sides by 3. Okay, that takes us to -2. Now normally this is a cubed root, so it can be equal to a negative. Odd indexed roots can equal a negative. And then third power. This is known as the index root, cubed root. Okay, this just gives me x. -2 to the third power is -8. Okay, don't overthink the next one. Solving for x. Well, what characteristics does x have? Well, it ain't to a power, but it's in a root, and it's inside of a cubed root. But it doesn't have a power within the root, so assume there's one solution. Okay, circle your cubed root. That 3 is part of the root. It's the index of the root, not a multiplying number. So it's a cubed root. I would undo it with a third power. Now, do I have anything in front of that? No, I don't. I'm good on, I don't have to divide. Do I have any plus or minus numbers outside the root? The 7 doesn't count. It's inside the root. No, I don't. I think I'm good to go. I just do third power. Okay, these cancel, and you just have the expression 2x plus 7. 5 to the third power is not 15. Stop that, okay? 5 power 3, or 5 times 5 times 5. Just do something, but don't do 5 times 3. Okay, then it's easy, just minus 7. That takes that side to 118. 2 times x is 118. Then I divide by 2, and that's 59. Okay, next one. You got x, don't have a power, you got a root, okay? So it doesn't have a power within the root, so assume you have one solution. Okay, now with that being said, we circle the root. It's a short root. Plus 2's out the root. Open your eyes and look when you're circling it, okay? Okay, third power. Got anything in front? Yeah, you're going to have to divide by 4 before you do the third power. And then before I divide by 4, do I have any other number here? Yeah, plus 2. I don't like that 10. I can tell that looks like trouble. I'm trying to do a good job explaining this without decimals. Why don't you put 50? Sounds good. Okay. Plus 2, you are going to still minus 2. You're like, what does it matter? Well, I want the division when I do it to work out nice and evenly. So 4 cubed root of x, that's 48. Then divide by 4, divide by 4. That's 12. Third power it. Cancels, giving me x. It's not 36. Stop it. 1,728. Seems odd, but that's it. Okay, now on your assignment, these aren't a lot of steps. You don't have any outer operations. You'll go right to put a 2, you go right to your square root. Okay. If you don't have a root, it's a 2. So you'll do a second power. All right, I think that one's going to work out good. Okay, I want you to make a change here. Change that negative 20 to negative 22. You're good on that one. Good on 6. 7 works out good. And 8 works out good. Okay.